Hey guys, welcome back. On this episode, we're putting some KYOSHO Belt Crawler Unit Catappi for mini-Z 4x4 tracks onto our little Toyota. This guy here so far has no brass, no mods, just the life conversion in it. So this guy's going to be the candidate to get the tracks. We did want to put him on the white Jeep, but I just don't feel like going out and buying another Jeep for 300 bucks right now. So we're going to build, we've already got two of them built, so we could go through the pain of learning how to build them, show you a few mods that we've found to actually make them fit a little bit better. We're having issues with the top part leaning in. We'll show you that in a few seconds here, and where we can put a couple spacers in to fix that. So inside you get the crawler track parts, the crawler chassis parts. You get an addendum sheet that tells you the screw hardware in here is too long. Use these ones to mount the tracks to the truck. And then this is the company Catappi shoe. I believe from my poking around on the internet, these are a upgrade for like a Tamiya model kit that just have like the rubber stretchy track that goes on it. These are an upgrade kind of segmented or jointed track to go onto the Tamiya toys. Looks like KYOSHO is just using their track system to go on the track car bodies they came up with. Obviously, instruction manual, we've got one laid out right here. So best bet is Jesse's gonna do, well, we're gonna work on these together, and Jesse start on those, I'll start on these, we'll meet in the middle. Pretty much best bet. So the parts and pieces are not identified on the sprue or tree for what they are. You actually just have to go to the picture right here that you can see, and the picture here will tell you what these are. It gets a little confusing, but luckily the picture is dead nuts accurate, so you can look at the picture and squint and be like, okay, that goes there, that goes here. So some of the pieces have like a female and a male end. You can actually see that in the picture. So you do want to pay attention for this part here, how the track roller fits. You can see this is the front on the for left, the front one for the right. So as you're going, you just kind of remember to reverse the pieces, make them all kind of match. So I think those ones are hooped. You're going to need these ones. So one thing we found on this little piece here that comes out, goes in between right here. For some reason this little tab on the bottom was getting in the way, so we were just nipping it back about 1 millimeter or 2, just nip her off. Technically doesn't really, as long as you know most of the upper half is there, it's fine. This guy jams. Through there before you bolt this half and this half on, after you put this through here. Boom, boom. This is probably running into if we don't put a spacer in between this half and this half on the screws. It tightens up and it twists the top half of the car body or track body sideways. So yes. So the best way to go about doing is get your screw through, get your two screws or washers on, and then get one half started and then repeat on the other side and finish up. Perfect. You don't want to leave those loose. Top section really simple. Bearing goes in the hole. 3 little screws go around retaining it in. I don't. Shio. Okay, so we're going to start with the left side. This is the generic way to do it. Then when you build it, you have to kind of reverse it in your head. So you can see here as we lay this out here, IH, these ones here, we need IH and JK. So, yeah, so IH, JK. Excuse me. No, IH is the center part, sorry. JK are the wheels up top here. JK, IH. Go check your phone, that wasn't mine. For the bogies, it's just 2 and 2. 2 of the middle rack, 2 of the top rack, or whatever, bottom rack. Get out your little pins. You want to start with the female one. That's the one with the hole in the bottom. You want to hold it in that orientation so that back flap is to the back like that. Then you can throw your bogey pin in. You can see here you have the 2 with the ridge on them. So one goes out, the other one goes opposite. And then you just put the other half of the truck in. There gets a little bit of a pain in the ass. It can all fall apart really quick. Okay, so now you can see that there's these 2 little bumps on the side. This is the inside. This is the outside. So the track runs on here, and this is the follower for the track. I'll clean those little divots off there after we get assembled. So then we're doing left side, so you can see there's a front notch, so we want to make sure we get in the front. You can see the front notch there, the back notch there. I don't know if you can see on that one. Just check on the GoPro. Split off, put it in there, tighten up your screw. We are good. You want to check, make sure everything flows. And go back, take a blade, trim off any of these little burrs. Okay, so now let's flip this over for the rear. Pretty much set up your bogey. We're going to go with L and M. So next 2 down are L, M. Clip these guys off. Clip off your wheels you're going to need. So I start with your M on the bottom, which on the bottom of this one is the male. What I mean by the male is it's got a little nubbins there sticking out of there. That one's got a little hole in the middle. Put it in the orientation so the blade is to the back. And then it's going to be your K-wheels to the back, which would be the inside of the track. Put your other half the truck on. Well, I screwed that one up. I gotta take that guy and flip that guy over. Okay, now this one, when you put it together, it goes into the hole in the car body, where this one goes into the notch in front of the hole, which makes that one the front. This would be the front, so this would make this a left side, so this would be a driver's side track. Put that in, and then tighten up your screw. You don't gotta go monkey, just tighten it up enough so it's, you know, it's taking out the gap. It's not all loose and flimsy, and it's, especially now since we put those two washers in, it's not flexing the top of this in, and it's keeping everything nice and tight in the bottom. Last but not least, your drive gear. You want to take your blade, just clear out any little bit of mold flashing that's sitting in there so the screw passes through nicely, and then that just pops in from behind. Oop. Done. Boom. Axle mount done there. Yes, sir, looking good. Jesse's going to explain how to build the tracks. I'm going to go cut out parts for him.
So you got all your chunky butts. I'm keeping them together in their 2 format. I'm cutting each one and I'm keeping them together and kind of organizing them. Throwing the excess away. Now keep in mind there are 20 pieces to each track. 2 pieces per piece equals 7,000 pieces.
Sing it again.
Load of pieces. Alright, now after you've cut out your pieces, and they're all in their pairs, you take your first pair, and they got little grooves to line them up. So you put them together like that, and this is your starting. And then they tell you to insert the pin through the middle. I like to do it with the X's that hold on your rubber or your spikes, whichever you choose as your foot, your feets. And then you touch your one side, touch your other side, and then clamp. And run your other pin to lock it in. And you rinse and repeat. And you'll get a rhythm going, and you'll feel weird things in your loins, and you'll be good to go. Now you see that on your 2 pieces, you got the feet part and you got the back part with your lining pin and also the hole for your drive gear. And you can see that on the other side they have these little cones that fit just under the X side, and that's what allows them to fit together properly. And that's what you are mating when you do the tracks. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Tracky poops.
Okay, now that Jesse has the segments of track laid out, let's get back in. We can go through and put on the little rubber caterpillar pads here with the stake things that go through. You want to cut these things as close as you can down to the little mushroom so they travel nice through the system. There is enough to do every spot, 20 per. So let's do that. My GoPro. There you go. You want to press those all the way through and make sure they are all the way through, like those little stars in the bottom. So, pop the little stake through the little track pad, stick it through the holes, pinch it through the bottom. Easy cheesy. Okay, getting into the final steps on these little tracks. A little more work than we thought. We did have to add in the washers there to correct the angle of the car body. It was leaning in, it was just not working out. And then once we put it all together, once we added the Catappi little rubber shoes all the way around, actually kind of adds a lot to the track. It's going to get really good traction. Pretty cool. We went through and actually heated up this blade here with our propane torch and just melted down all the little knobs like on this track. And the difference in that is, let's find a forward direction that side. No. This one and this one. So this one's being prepped, already done. You can see when you roll it, it's fairly quiet, just the track noise. And this one, when you roll it, you can hear the all those little nubs starting to grind on there. They'll wear themselves down eventually, but it's such a small truck, such a small motor, that's going to rob you on some of your power. So we're just going to take our torch, heat up our blade, run through there. And simple enough, just melt it down flat. This will also help lock them in so they can't pop out. If you are planning on removing them, don't do this. We're just going to run them. We like them. They're going to stay in. So anyway, you want to do that all the way around and you get the track done. And then once your track is done and prepped, you're going to want to grab it, kind of hold that top gear in nicely, grab it by the bottom of the car body and spend some time loosening it up. If you just throw it on the truck, you won't be happy with the performance. You're going to notice it's going to be high motor temps and a lot of work. You need to break these tracks in. So spend a good, I don't know, I'll give each track probably a good 15 minutes overall. Now don't do it all at once because you don't want to build heat and do damage. So just keep kind of cycling them. Do it a bunch of times for maybe 30 seconds. Grab another track that you have prepped, make sure it's prepped. Go back and forth. This one's been done quite a bit. This one's like butter. This one just, I don't know if I wasn't holding the main gear there, but like you want it to be able to just spin like that. So The more time you spend with them, the looser they become. Oh, this is the one we're working on. Yeah, it's the one we're melting down. You can hear the difference right there in it. To one of the, you hear them all hitting, so. Yeah, this one's really, really nice. That's what you want. So spend the time with them so they roll like this one effortlessly. There's like no drag, and then your little mini-Z is going to perform really, really good. If you just put them together without the tuning and going through like we did with putting a couple spacers and, you know, working on it, it's a micro. Micro stuff takes a lot more fine tuning to get it right in the end. It's hard for them to make something this small and be, you know, perfectly accurate. But, you know, we are hobbyists, we're modelers, so we can figure this out. So a couple spacers in there, melt those down. These little rubber treads on them are pretty cool. This thing is going to be fun. Yeah, break them in. The key thing is breaking them in. Don't make the truck do it because it's going to fry up the motor. It's going to be chunky. I see a lot of guys building them in their videos, slapping them on the truck, and then when they drive, you can see them catching, and then they got to hammer to the throttle, and then it only goes under full load. It's not good. You should crawl with the tracks on beautifully. So spend the time, get them right, do that little mod. Even when we put them together, we sanded all the drums to make sure there's no little nubs or nothing like that on them. So just spend the time to clean them up, and in the end, the reward will be that. So next step up from there is mounting them. It's just this little standoff here and a cap, and they go on the bottom of your shock towers. Take the tires off. We'll do that shortly. So I'm going to finish getting these tracks broken in and finish melting that one down. Finish melting this guy down. Get these guys broken in, and then we can actually get them mounted on the truck. So very cool looking little track. So I'm very, very pleased with them. I do like the actual tank tread. They're not just a rubber band stretched over, which always slips. So very cool. So for installing the tracks on the truck, get your little last parts tree. That little guy there, a little guy there, and this is the retainer, that nut that goes in there. Take off one of the wheels. First up, let's take off the body. This guy has the twin life pack conversion. We just get it out the box for that. So anyway, so start by pulling off the tire here. Screw there, that's the same screw you're going to use to put it back on. Keep the hex in there. And this is where the addendum in the manual comes in. They give these extra screws. The ones they've given you here are too long. These are the ones you want to use. These are a 22 and they give you a 25 originally. So you don't want to find a little bag and put those screws aside in a little baggie there, so you can keep them for down the road. So putting it back together if you choose to go back. Okay, so it's best to try to keep that shock boot from moving, or the shock base from moving. This little guy goes feet down against there. This guy goes up to the top, and that's what your the little clips on the back of the unit, the track unit, clip through. So they say these don't fit with the brass steering, the weighted hubs. That's why we chose this truck, because this was our unmodded truck at the time. So make sure the end of the axle is tight there. And then you want to make sure you put a track that is going with the leader to the front, and your track is nice and broken in. So according to the manual, you put that to the back, kind of line it up to the hole. I don't know, I'm just going to push it through. That worked. Hello? I think we're in. Yeah. It's a bit short though. There's some longer screws that did come with the kit, and yes, it is a longer screw that goes with that little cap, that retainer that holds it all in. So just want to make sure we are actually getting it lined up. Getting some bite on that little guy. So let's try that again. Now you want to make sure you don't over tighten, of course, but you also want to make sure your dry function is nice on there. So there we go. The front of the track to the front, one in, one done. Looking good. So yeah, I'm gonna burn through the rest of those. You don't want to sit here and watch me fight with those. Pretty simple, 2 screws, change the wheel on there. Keep all your other hardware for your other tires if you choose to go back. This truck will remain, if the tracks are good and they work out like they should, like we've tuned and set them up, they're gonna work great. This one's just gonna stay with the tracks on it going forward. So if anything, we'll switch him to another truck and seal that hardware to put this guy back together. So I'm going to put him back together, and then we're going to go take it outside, do some testing, and see what it's like playing in the rocks and the mud with the grippy tracks. I kind of like that, actually. I thought they were plastic, so I'm extra stoked about the rubber now, because it's kind of changed everything. It's going to have wicked traction. It's like a big tire now. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to go get this guy back together. We'll catch you back here. Hey guys. Okay, well that brings us to the end of our little track build and test drive on our little KYOSHO micro crawler. We clipped the springs a little bit, lowered her down as much as we can because it's now sitting a lot higher on the tracks, and actually looks pretty good with it lowered. I just cut 3 coils off the springs, so it wasn't sitting up here. Now it's sitting down here. Sitting a lot good. She only went 2 in the rear. She's a little heavier in the rear with the spare tire and the body and stuff, so maybe I get some new springs. We'll just clip 2 out of the rear, so it's this little level. Squats a little in the rear, but whatever. Keep the center of gravity low. That's what it's about. So as you can see, these guys are fantastic. If you're gonna run them with all the rubber treads. Then you can still rock roll and stuff. So just make sure when you're done, you get all that sand and stuff out of there. Luckily, there's not too much. There's no grease or nothing, so it won't stick. So just a quick blow will get that out for you guys. So yeah, I give them now with a few mods that we did that we showing you how. A couple spacers in the bottom, little tiny washers. You want to make sure you get at least 2 per post per track there. So you want to get 4, 8, 12, 16 screws or washers to go on them, and they're little tiny guys. They're gonna go on like screws that big, like 2mm washers, I think they are. So grab yourself some of those before you get too far into the build and you have issues with top of the tower leaning in and stuff. So go through and spend some time, break them in. That's the most important part, and then they run flawlessly. This little guy's nice and buttery smooth. You'll notice that there's some, you get a lot of extra play in the steering with the tracks on. It's almost like your trim keeps fighting you that it's out, but it's not. It's just, and reverse is, they bind up in reverse. You see how the front roller there climbs up? They're not great at going in reverse. It'd be nice to get a spring that was in there to hold it down, but whatever. They are what they are. They work. So yeah, definitely a win in our books. And yeah, check them out, guys.